Okay, we're here with part 5. Okay, here's all of the parts for the Saturn Vue transmission laying down here on the table. And then we have another Saturn Vue that I'm working on. So I'm working on two of them at the same time. But I'm going to focus on the one that's the case. I got to take that one apart also. So let's get started here. Here on the primary variator, there's something I want you to see. I told you about the balls that rise in this channel. There are 2 per channel, and they are stopped by a ring. As you can see, that ball is stopped when it goes to the bottom by that ring there. Okay, now these balls, they break a lot and they gouge out that area, the groove, and when that happens, the other sheave that rides on those balls twists and it won't variate. It can't move up and down because it gets wedged or stuck. So now here is something that's very important I want you to see. A modification that I've done. I have 3 pins. As you can see here, these pins are TIG welded right into the channel. So you get a closer view there. You see that ring still at the bottom. You can leave that one there, but they're TIG welded into that channel, and it eliminates the balls. You can probably put them on top too, TIG welded on the top. I have the TIG welding on the side. And what do? You take the sheave and make sure it slides up and down on those pins. I show you. And it has to slide up and down as smoothly as those balls. See, the balls roll. It cannot be any binding whatsoever. So it has to slide up and down. But now there's one other modification you have to do when using pins this long. So what you have to do is, there is a ring inside of this drum here. You have to eliminate that one. You have to take it out. Take it out and get rid of it. You can leave the one that's on that sheave I showed you. This one has to come out, or will not allow that sheave to go all the way to the bottom. See, down. See how it goes all the way down now. And it has to be smooth. There cannot be any binding. If there is binding, then you're going to have to start grinding down on the pin so that it can run smoothly. Now, this is a better fix. It's a stronger fix. You don't have to worry about any balls busting up, breaking, gouging out the channels at all. This is pretty much a permanent fix. This can be also used with variator shafts that are worn. Okay, so you can put them back in use if the balls happen to mess them up. Now this is an important modification that I do to eliminate the failure of those balls. Okay, now you oil the drum that slides up and down on those pins, and you put in the first piston here. Now what I want you to see is the direction to put it inside the drum. You see the bevel up top and then down the dish part. You want that to go down into the drum. You don't want to mix that up there. You have to tap this around. There's an O-ring on the side of this drum. You have to tap it until you get it all the way down to the bottom. Okay. Now you have this other piston, and you can see which direction it goes. The middle part of this bevel goes towards you. Now you tap this down, but it goes only to a certain point. But when you feel it bottom out, then it is finished. And then after that, let me make sure you see how it is. Okay, it doesn't go all the way to the bottom. Then you take the other part of the drum, you lube it up pretty good so that it will slide in very easily around the piston. Press it down in there. Then you set the whole unit on the primary variator shaft, which is the part that you would have bought used because it was destroyed, or the middle part was destroyed. Alright, now slide up and down. What I'm doing here is checking to see how easy it's sliding up and down. I want it to be easy. Okay. Now mind you, this is sliding up and down on that pins, which is a modification for this Saturn Vue. Alright, now make sure you get the rear cover and orient it the way that you see it oriented right now in this video. Then you take the primary shaft and you set it inside the cover as you are seeing my doing now. That follower I'm touching. Okay. Make sure that follower is positioned in the proper position. Now here's a clamp that I made. get one similar. What I do, I put it over the secondary variator. There's a strong spring in there that has to be compressed, and you have to do this in order to get the belt back on. So I want you to notice how I do this here. Now I use sandpaper and I stick it in between the clamp and the secondary uh, variator. That is to make sure when I tighten it that the clamp doesn't slip off. Metal to metal contact is very slippery, so I put fold sandpaper and put it in between, and then I tighten it, as you will see. And when you tighten it, you don't want to over tighten it to the point where you may crush the variator, but you want to have it tight enough to where it doesn't slip. Okay, as you see my turning this, you will start to see I'm pulling it apart. You see how it has opened up? I'm going to let you see that now. The variator has opened up. Now I'm going to take this and show you how wide it has become. Then you remember that tab that's on here, that if this tab that right there sticking, you have to place it in the proper position. If you do not, you have to push this variator or take it back out, because the bolt holes will not line up. So that tab that's on that secondary variator need to fall. I'll show you. Right there. Right in between these two raised indentations here. It needs to fall right there. Put the belt around it. You have to make sure the belt, remember the belt is directional, so you have to make sure that the belt is in its proper direction, which I'll show you later on how to make sure, even if it doesn't have an error on it, how to make sure you have the belt orientation proper. Alright, as you see, you cock the secondary over a little bit, let it go around both, and then make sure that tab, which you can't see the tab right now, but make sure that tab fall in between those two protrusions, and then you will have everything right. Okay, then as you make sure everything is set in the back case, everything is lined up properly, then you start to unscrew the clamp. You have to make sure that you don't have any tie straps in the way, because when you start to unscrew this clamp, then it's the pulley is going to go downward because of that spring that's in that secondary variator. So if there's any tie straps that will be in the way when it starts to come down, you can cut them off. Not all of them, but just the ones that will be in the way. You don't want to cut the tie straps completely off until you have it tight. As you can see now, the belt is tightening up because I am loosening the tension. And once the tension is completely off of that secondary variator, you take the clamp off. And then you flip it over, and then you go to the back and start to put on the flange on the primary variator, the 3-tab flange. Remember, you had a mark on this, so you should know what direction it should go. And you put the 3 nuts on the flange. There you see the 3 nuts is on the flange. And then you take the big nut and put it on the primary variator. And you secure the secondary variator to the back half of this case with the this steel ring here. And it can only really go in one direction because those 2 holes, if you have it the wrong way, it won't line up, as you will see here. If you put the 2 holes, the 2 that's close together, it won't line up on the one side. So you put that in its proper orientation, 2 holes close together, everything lines up, and then you take all of the bolts and you place them inside. Alright, so now after screwing these in, we're going to continue on to part 6, because we are actually wrapping this up now. This is the hardest part, or the most complicated part. So on to part 6.